Let's kick off with the Nigerian equities market. The market halted its 4-day decline yesterday, gaining about 0.60%. I'll get to that shortly, but in the meantime, let's look at what Congo's new oil discovery could mean for its economy. Now, according to Ecobank, Congo's new oil discovery could boost long-term oil prospects for the economy, despite recent production declines. Now, the country, which is Middle Africa's fourth largest oil producer, could see increased production from 2015 on the back of French Total's Nord project. Now, U.S. Chevron's Liaze field and ENI's oil sands project. Now, for more on Congo's economy, I'm now being joined in the studio by Dolapo Oni of the Energy Research Unit at Ecobank. Thank you so much, Dolapo, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Congo is looking at 600 billion barrels of oil, a possible discovery by ENI. Now, what does this? Let's start with what it means for the country.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's quite interesting when you look at it. Number one, it does two things. Very basically, number one, it reaffirms the pre-salt play in Central Africa, which we have started to see as a major play developing, which is attracting the international oil companies to Central Africa. We're seeing discoveries just this week in Gabon and other discoveries early in the year, about 7-8 discoveries already this year in the pre-salt play in Central Africa. And for Congo, I mean, that's quite interesting because this particular find is in close proximity to ENI's other fields, which are producing. You have the Libondo, the Zachi, the Yombo fields, which are all producing fields in close proximity to this particular find, the Nene Marine, which is the block where this discovery was made. And the discovery was immediately appraised, and it was confirmed to be a very commercial, it had very strong commercial prospects. So two things, ENI could develop this as a separate standalone structure, which would then mean maybe production from this is not likely to come on stream in 4 or 5 years, but they could also develop this as a tieback to those existing fields, and I mean production could come a lot faster.
Why does it have to take that long? Because I'm told that some of this can come on stream before 2015. Yeah.
When you think about it, the thing is, take for instance this particular discovery of about 600 million barrels is about the same size as the Jubilee field when it was discovered. The Jubilee field was also about 600 million barrels when it was discovered, and further appraisal helped to raise the upside on that field to about 1.5 billion barrels. So ENI could decide, okay, this particular find, we need to appraise it further. Let's drill some other wells and let's see what the upside really lies. And I mean, from some of the studies that have been done on the find, ENI actually believes that there could be significant upside to this find. So those decisions take time. So that would essentially spiral into some 2-3 more years before the actual project is packaged.
Before we actually see an impact on.
Before we see an impact on Congo's production.
In the last couple of years, there's been a decline in Congo's oil exports. 278,000 barrels per day is where they're at right now, and of course that made it lose its third position to Equatorial Guinea as Middle East Africa's largest producer. Now, could we see Congo going back to that position, or we have to wait till 2015 or beyond 2015? I
think we're going to have to wait beyond 2015 because even at the rate of decline we're seeing in the maturing fields in Congo, Congo could literally be about 240, 245 by the end of next year without any new production coming from any field currently. But what we see is that from 2015, by the time Total brings on its Moho Nord project, which is expected to start production at about 100,000 barrels per day in 2015, and then peak at 140 in 2017, and then Chevron brings the 46,000 barrels from the Liaze field on stream also in 2015. I mean, Congo could easily be looking at about some 200 to 250,000 barrels per day by 2017, and by that time, I think it would overtake Equatorial Guinea back to being the third largest producer.
Now, the major customers are the US and China. Do you think they could look to expanding their customer base if we're looking to see more oil?
I mean, definitely. What we're seeing in that region already is pretty clear. Congo, nearby countries such as Angola already sell the bulk of their crude oil to China. Gabon is also seeing a similar shift where the bulk of the crude oil exported from Gabon is also tilting more towards China. And I mean, it's pretty obvious that at the moment, yes, Congo sells the bulk right now to the US, but gradually that is starting to shift with US already declining.
The shale production thing.
Exactly, with the shale production reducing its exports from Africa, so it's easy to see a lot of that coming from China. And for China, it's also very likely because China is trying to export more. It's licensing more refineries to export. Unlike before, we had just 2 or 3 major refineries doing all the exports for China. Now, more refineries are going to join from fourth quarter of this year, and by next year, we're seeing a lot more exports from China. So Congo is a likely prospect.
Now, recently we saw strong demand demand for Nigerian Kwaibo and I think one of our other grades, Bonny Light grade.
Yes.
Do you think we could see strong demand from India for Congo's oil, and how could that affect our own exports?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The fact is that the oil discovery was for light oil. And the bulk of the discovery that has been made in that particular region this year has been light oil and condensates. So, I mean, more lighter oil is going to, a lot more light oil is going to come from out of the barrel from that region. And, I mean, this has a lot of demand in India, in China, and even recently from Europe.
Now, the U.S. Geological Survey claims that Congo could have as reserves 5.8 billion barrels of crude oil and 13.3 trillion cubic feet of gas, and that's huge bulk of reserves.
Yes.
Now, if that is true, I mean, given it a global perspective, how could that shape the oil market if it has the potential to do so? Yeah,
I think it's when you look at that discovery, that particular position by the USGS, it's for deep water. And in Congo, there hasn't been any deep water really exploration. I mean, the farthest you've seen, particularly, is this Moho Nord project by Total, which lies in about some 100 kilometers offshore Congo. But Congo is looking to do a deep water licensing round later this year, which I think is going to interest a lot of parties. We're already seeing a lot of interest from even the Middle East. Qatar recently bought a chunk of Total Congo, the subsidiary of Total, which is in charge of the project in Congo. And we're seeing some interest also from the Middle East, also in other neighboring countries. So there's going to be a lot of interest from China, from the Middle East in that region, because I think it does have close to that